Hello everyone, and welcome to the second Warcry battle report on this channel. Today will be a bit of a throwback to the initial release of Warcry, where this battle report will be played with the terrain of the initial box set and the two warbands that came with it. So without further ado, let's introduce the warbands, draw some cards, and get this battle going. Starting with the Iron Golems, their Hammer Squad will contain their Dominar and the Signifier. Their Dagger Squad will contain the Drill Master, the Armator, and one Iron Legionary with a Hammer and Shield. And lastly, for the Iron Golems, in their Shield Squad, they will have the Ogre Breacher and their final two Iron Legionaries, one equipped with Hammer and Shield and the other with a Bolus. Then for the Untamed Beasts, we have one Planesrunner, the Beast Speaker, and his loyal companion, the Rock Tusk Prowler. In the Untamed Beast Dagger, we have the First Fang, a Prey Taker with Sawtooth Blade, and another Planesrunner. And finally, in the Untamed Beast Shield Squad, we have a Prey Taker with Fanged Axe, the last Planesrunner, and the warband's leader, the Heart Eater. Now that the warbands have been introduced, let's draw some cards. First, the terrain card. As I said before, we will be playing with the first edition Warcry starter box today, and it seems that the cards have given us a setup that is quite dense with a lot of walled off sections in the middle of the map. I'm curious how that's going to influence the course of this battle. Then for the deployment card, I pull Unseen Blade. For this battle, the blue team will be the Untamed Beasts and the red team will be the Iron Golems. For the victory card, I pull Bloodmarked, which essentially means that each warband at the start of the battle must pick one of their fighters that's on the board, and if that fighter is taken out in any subsequent turns, they lose the battle. An interesting card for sure, as there's only one squad per warband on the board at the start of the battle. And lastly, for the twist, I pull a Battle of Wits, which just gives an extra wild dice to each warband at the start of the battle. Very nice. So, with the board all set up, cards pulled and the warbands deployed, let's get straight into turn 1 initiative. The Iron Golems roll 1 triple and 3 singles. The Untamed Beasts then roll exactly the same, 1 triple and 3 singles. As there are not many fighters on the board right now, both decide to reserve their wild dice. Since they both have the same amount of singles, a roll-off will ensue to see who gets the initiative. The red dice will be the Iron Golems, and the brownish dice will be the Untamed Beasts. The Untamed Beasts roll a 6 and therefore claim the initiative. Before any activations take place, each warband must decide which fighter of theirs will be bloodmarked. For the Untamed Beasts, this will be their Planesrunner. The main goal here being making the Iron Golems run for their money. As for the Iron Golems, they will bloodmark their toughest and strongest fighter, the Ogre Breacher. Now onto some activations. The Untamed Beasts will go first, and they will make their Prey Taker with Fanged Axe move up. The Iron Golems will respond by then moving their Iron Legionary closer to the action. The Heart Eater then ever so slightly moves past his buddy. Unbeknownst to him, this was exactly what an Iron Legionary with Bolus on the roof had hoped for. He will move up, and as the building is just 3 inches, he can attack the Heart Eater. And with an incredible roll of 2 crits and a hit, he manages to deal 7 damage in a single attack. The Planesrunner is then going to do a tactical retreat and try and get as close as possible to the reinforcing squad that is coming in next turn. And the final activation of this turn will be of the Ogre Breacher, who will also just move up next to his buddy. And that marks the end of Battle Round 1. This turn was relatively uneventful, as most fighters are still not on the board. In terms of movement, I think the Untamed Beasts are definitely in a lot safer spot, as their bloodmarked fighter is way off from where all the action is happening. Whereas with the Iron Golems, their bloodmarked fighter, albeit a bit stronger individual, is right in the middle of it. So even though with their reinforcements coming in, I do think the Iron Golems can definitely beat the remaining Untamed Beasts fighters. They are putting their blood-marked fighter in a bit of a dangerous position right here. But with that said, the reinforcements have arrived, so we can continue to round 2. Starting once again with the Iron Golems, they roll 2 doubles and 2 singles. The Untamed Beasts then also roll 2 doubles and 2 singles. The Iron Golems will use 3 of their wild dice, 2 to make a quad and 1 to claim initiative. As for the Untamed Beast, they decide to save 1 of their wild dice and use the other 2, 1 to make a triple and the other to try and claim initiative as well. A roll off for the initiative ensues and the Untamed Beasts claim initiative. The Untamed Beasts will kick off with a very elaborate turn. Their first Fang is going to use 1 action to move up and then use the triple ability Harpoon Snag to try and get the Ogre Breacher as close to their squad as possible. In short, this lets him do 1 ranged harpoon attack, and then the Ogre Breacher will have to move towards the first Fang an amount of inches equal to the value of this ability. Hitting on 4s, he manages 2 hits, dealing a total of 4 damage with this ability. As the value of the triple was 5, the Ogre Breacher now has to move 5 inches towards the first Fang. The first Fang will then use his remaining action to attack the Ogre Breacher that is now within 1 inch range with his axe. This time he only hits once and deals 2 more damage. The first Fang is now in a bit of trouble though, as the Ogre Breacher is then going to turn around and use the Rampage ability to hopefully very swiftly clobber the first Fang and potentially even move away still. The Ogre Breacher does 4 damage on a hit and 8 damage on a crit. He only needs to roll 3s and the first Fang only has 15 HP. So realistically he could get rid of him in 1 hit. But unfortunately he rolls absolutely abysmally and just barely manages to scrape out the kill. The Prey Taker with Fanged Axe is then going to try his luck against the Signifier, just staying out of range of the Dominar. He will use the Onslaught ability to get an extra die on the attack. Hitting on 4s, he gets 2 hits, dealing a total of 4 damage. Not exactly what he was hoping for. The Iron Legionary with Bolus is then going to continue his long range shenanigans. Still hitting on 5s, he once again manages 2 crits and 1 hit, dealing 7 more damage to the Heart Eater. With only 6 HP remaining, the Heart Eater decides to book it before he can be slain by the Dominar. So he's going to run up the stairs and show the Iron Legionary with Bolus who's boss. Or so at least he thought he would. He only rolled 2 hits, dealing a total of 4 damage. Not quite enough to take down the enemy fighter. Then, for a less important action, the Armator is going to slowly, with his movement of 3, try to run down the blood-marked Planesrunner. Then a completely different Planesrunner is going to have a go at the Ogre Breacher. I wish him the best of luck. And despite all odds, he still manages 1 crit, dealing 3 damage to the Behemoth. The Signifier is then going to use the Onslaught ability to try and quickly take out the Prey Taker with Fanged Great Axe. In the first attack action he manages 1 crit, dealing 4 damage, and in the second he manages a crit and a hit, dealing 6, which is exactly enough to take out the Prey Taker. Speaking of Prey Takers, the Prey Taker with Sawtooth Blade is then going to move up towards the Ogre Breacher, and he is just barely in range to land an attack. Hitting on 5s, he manages 1 crit, dealing 4 damage. The Ogre Breacher is slowly being whittled down, as he is getting very close to half HP now. In order to protect the Ogre Breacher in future rounds, the Iron Golems then double move their Iron Legionary next to the Ogre Breacher. Next I'm going to cheat a little and do some moves back to back. This is just to spare me some editing work and to speed up the video, since the order in which these moves happen hardly matter for the outcome of the battle report. I hope you guys don't mind. But to quickly sum up what I'm doing here, the Iron Golems are going to chase after the Blood-marked Planesrunner, and the Blood-marked Planesrunner, another Planesrunner, the Beastspeaker, and the Rocktusk Prowler are going to make their way over to the rest of the scuffle with the Ogre Breacher. The only one getting anywhere close up to this point being the Rocktusk Prowler, and as he has enough movement left, he will position himself in a way that he can attack the Ogre Breacher next turn. And with that ends battle round 2. At this point I can still see the battle go both ways, because even though catching up with that one Planesrunner is going to be difficult for the Iron Golems, if they manage to keep their Ogre Breacher alive this turn, they will likely overpower the enemy and have more forces to chase him down. And as much as it may be a pain to catch that one Planesrunner, if there's nothing to defend it, the Iron Golems will get him eventually. So really it mostly comes down to whether the Iron Golems can get initiative next turn so they can keep their Ogre Breacher alive. And so the time has come to find out. And of course, to add to the absolutely abysmal RNG of the Iron Golems this game, they roll a quad and a double, giving them very little hope of claiming the initiative. The Untamed Beasts then proceed to roll 2 doubles and 2 singles. This puts the Iron Golems in a terrible position, as they do not have enough wild dice to claim the initiative, and the Untamed Beasts have more than enough to still freely make a quad. With this, battle round 3 starts with a potentially game-ending activation. The Prey Taker with the Sawtooth Blade is going to activate, and he's going to use the quad Unleash the Beast. Since the ability value of this quad is 5 rounded up, this means he gets a +3 to his attack stat and a +3 to his strength stat. He will get to roll 14 dice, and because I think it's fun, I'm going to do it all at once. Because his strength is now buffed through the roof, he hits on 3s. He deals 2 damage on a hit and 4 damage on a crit. And in the end he rolls 2 crits and 9 hits, dealing 26 damage. Needless to say, this kills the Ogre Breacher and ends the game. And so victory goes to the Untamed Beasts. Okay, I'm not gonna lie here. I was a little bit disappointed that the game ended like this. I would have preferred that the Iron Golem still had a chance to keep their Ogre Breacher alive, but when I saw the initiative rolls, I immediately knew what was about to go. All in all, I think that the Iron Golems this game went for a more risky strat than the Untamed Beasts, and they did not have the rolls to back it up whatsoever. Anything from the initiative roll-offs to the fact that the Ogre Breacher didn't manage to have any actions left but after killing the first Fang, nothing really went well for them this game. The only things that did go well for them this game were things that were kind of irrelevant for the victory condition, such as the crazy high rolls on the Iron Legionary with Bolas, and the Signifier managing to take out the Prey Taker with a Fanged Axe in one turn. What I do find very amusing about this is that in my home games, the Iron Golems really tend to dominate, winning almost every single battle. And now the 2 YouTube videos that I've made, both containing Iron Golems, they lost both times. I guess they got stage fright or something. Anyway, if you enjoyed this battle report, consider subscribing. I plan to make like one of these every 2 weeks or so. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on how much time I have on my hands. So if you subscribe, you can watch them when they come out. Plus, as you've probably heard like a million times before, it does help channels grow, so you also make me very happy in the process. But for now, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next Warcry battle report. Until the next one.